Dearly redheaded, we are choosing consciousness today to get through this thing called grief. Interesting word, grief. It means love, which makes for a mighty good joke. But I'm here to tell you, there's nothing else. Just joy. And if the big picture tends to bring you down, go crazy once your life goes. Woo!
Good morning, all. I'm back. Natural born redhead. And I am visiting this morning with my friend Hesham, who goes by Hesham because this is America and I bust his balls all the time about it. I met Hesham, had to be... You've been living in New York 2 years, so I met you close to
almost three, actually.
Wow.
Back in 2022.
Wow. That's weird to me. Okay, so I met you over the phone. We're colleagues, business colleagues. We work for different companies, but I don't work for a company. Did I really just say that? I work for myself, but I can't believe I just said that. We're affiliated with different companies. How's that?
That's a better way.
There we go. So we met over the phone when you were still living in North Carolina. You were born and raised in North Carolina, correct?
Correct.
And then got the opportunity to cover...
I got the opportunity to cover Manhattan to Albany, both sides of the river, as an external wholesaler, which in other words is basically a regional vice president for a company that handles financial transactions.
There you go. I'm glad I let you say it. That's what he does. That's why we met. So we went from being an internal in North Carolina to an external in Nueva York. And this morning we're going to talk about, you are, I should probably, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I was thinking about it this morning. I grew up very sheltered when it came to race. And that's because I had racism in my family. And it took me years. I didn't partake in what others believed, said, whatever. But it was and not amongst my parents. I always put my parents in the clear. So it intrigues me when I get an opportunity to ask people about their history and their upbringing, because I was always very curious, but didn't really do anything about it until I can remember being out of college when I started to really get curious about other people and their backgrounds. And I think you and I are both seekers. Fair?
Yeah, that's a fair statement.
So we've you more so than probably anybody in my life has educated me about being a Muslim, its relationship to Islam, and other things. So let's talk about your upbringing, and then I'll intervene when the mood strikes.
Okay. Yeah, where do you want to start?
I think it's very interesting that you were born and raised in North Carolina and how that came to be. And I remember a little bit about your parents, but obviously that's the reason. So maybe start with them and then go from there.
Yeah, so couple things on that one. Yeah, my parents were born overseas. They were immigrants to this country. Dad moved here for college back in the early 80s, went to NC State, which is how I got into being born and raised in North Carolina. Dad went to North Carolina State, studied engineering, go Pack. He was there when they beat Houston in the Phi Slamma Jamma back in '83. So I will always hang my hat proudly on that one because I never go Christmas without hearing about Derek Whittenburg in downtown Raleigh and all this crazy jazz that is NC State football with Jimmy or NC State basketball with Jimmy V. Um, but yeah, so that's how I ended up in the States. So my dad came to America, moved here, didn't have a dime on him. Uh, like every immigrant, country of dreams, country of opportunity, so on and so forth. Came here with the anticipation that he'd find that. Eventually did after college a little bit, but it took him a while. He started originally working as an engineer for the state DOT, then became a gas station owner. Ran that for about what the majority of my or half of my life at this point. I'm 30, just so everyone knows. But with that being said, he ran that for about half of my life, then got the opportunity to move to Dubai, take a job overseas. So when I was 12 years old, he packed his bags, took a job overseas for the betterment of the family, but looked me dead in the eye and goes, "Hey, you're the man of the house now. You got all this random jazz you got to handle." And it was not easy, especially growing up in the South. And why I say growing up in the South, because as a 12-year-old, one, only thing you want to do is go play video games outside with your friends, whatever, random stupid shit, to be honest. But growing up in the South with a name like Hesham, as Joanne pointed out, I Americanize it because it's not as easy growing up in the South post the 9/11 era, as an Arab Muslim in the
Mm.
United States. Definitely saw a lot of racism, a lot of backlash, but I mean, that's just what the scenario brought us to. And the only thing I can do is smile and laugh it off because if I got angry, it just basically gave people the right opportunity to keep picking at it. So I kind of let it go. But that's without being said, like I did experience my fair share of racism growing up in the South. Like I was 13, I was in math class, and my friend was jokingly going, "Hisham has a bomb." Get pulled out of class, getting searched at the age of 13. I was 11 when I had my first cavity check at the airport. So
Jeez.
like you do deal with that in the States. It's not like it's not unprecedented, put it that way. I mean, especially following 9/11, growing up in this country was not easy on myself, or I'd imagine many other Arab Muslims in the United States. It just was filled with and riddled with hate towards that. And like for me as a young adult, who didn't really know much at the time, I was just very confused because I was always taught the golden rule: treat others how you want to be treated, which is the same mindset I anticipated everybody lived by. But I don't know, you grow to learn that it's not necessarily true. Sorry, I kind of went on a long-winded answer there, Joanne.
No, no, I did not know. I did not know some of the things you shared, and I just, I mean, it hits me in the heart. Um, so your mom, talk about your mom because I know how much she means to you.
Yeah, so love mom. She's very sweet. Um, has her problems. She was a long time smoker. So growing up, we had some issues about that. Me and her, we'd always fight about it. But I am a mama's boy. I hate to admit that, although my fiance loves to hear me say that. But I'm a mama's boy. And honestly, I'm proud to say it because my mom and I, we talk daily. We get along very well. She lived a very unique life. Her father died when she was 6 or 7, due to a accident, which was not easy for her. So she had to grow up overseas in other countries with her aunts, versus growing up with her own mother and her two brothers because her mother couldn't mentally handle all that as a single mother with no husband growing up in a war-torn country. So that was something that definitely my mom struggled with. But got to give her credit. She is literally the face of resilience because every time I talk to her, she's just always saying, "Thank God," in Arabic, which translates to Alhamdulillah. Um, Good, bad, always thank God. She beat cancer twice. And I remember the first bout with it every day. She was just smiling,
Mhm.
happy. Thank God, we're going to be okay, all that stuff. And it at the time when she had cancer, I was 11 the first time around. I didn't really know much about cancer. Um, but the resilience I saw from her really taught me a lot in my life
Mm.
as a young adult, especially growing up in the society following post 9/11, all that. It just was not as easy as I would like to have thought, but she made it 10 times easier on me, my sister, just by her good attitude, her mindset, things like that. Like growing up with my father overseas, I didn't really have a father figure in the household. So she played both roles. So when Father's Day would come around, I'd celebrate her too. She got both a Mother's Day and a Father's Day because love my dad. He's done everything in the world I could ask for, but he just wasn't there. And that's not because he didn't want to be, it's because he had to go overseas to work to make money to provide for the family. It is what it is. But as a result, I had to learn how to shave from YouTube. I had to learn how to tie a tie from a random dude at Marshall's. Yeah. So like you live it and you learn it. There's a lot out there, which made me really appreciate all that my mother did for me. Granted, she has her issues. Nobody's mom's perfect. I hope she doesn't hear me say that, but I mean, in the end, she did everything she could in her power to give my sister and I that life, that opportunity that we didn't feel that our dad was overseas, that we didn't feel like we were lacking anything. Even when like the high school we went to, it was full of, unfortunately to say it, snobby rich kids. Like our high school, the average parent was some business owner or CEO or CFO or something. Like people were making good lord's money, like basically. And I was sitting there at like 12, 14, 15, 16, going to my friends' houses, watching the cars they drive. And I was like, damn, I wish I could have that. But like even like I was saying, my mom, even throughout that whole time frame, we didn't have the most money compared to our peers, but she never made me feel that. She always made sure I was dressed clean. She always made sure I had all I needed to be successful in school. I made sure I had a car to get me from point A to point B. So I mean, yeah, there's always ups and downs. There's always challenges, like any family. But I don't know. I feel like mine specifically molded me just because of various factors. I mean, I'm not saying that my experiences are different than anybody else's, but what I mean by that is just having to deal with inherent racism that's been instilled following 9/11, growing up with that, the adversity of that, growing up with my father being overseas, basically telling me at the age of 10, 11, you're the man of the house, 12 years old, you're the man of the house. Here's our weekly reports. I need it every day or every week by this time. Like that's not shit a normal 12 to 18-year-old goes through in the United States. And I feel blessed I went through it. I mean, it wasn't easy, but I feel blessed. And I mean, that's just a small portion of my life where I attribute a lot of the things my parents' actions did have molded me. I mean, there's other factors, of course, but that's definitely something I've taken and relished in through looking back at it.
Mm. So when you were 18, he came back?
My dad came back when after I graduated college
Oh,
post
okay.
COVID, so like 2021.
Oh, okay.
So it's been
Recent.
he came back when I was like 25. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. How often did you get to see him during that period?
From the age of 12 to 25, we'd see each other twice a year, if that, for a month at a time.
Oh, okay. Wow. It's still I got a tissue in my hand. I didn't know all of that. But I think this is a good place to say that you've already mentioned you're pushing 30, right? You're 29.
Yeah, 29. I
You
said 30
you
just to make
rounded
things easier.
you rounded up.
Yeah. Which
It's
is
very
the opposite of
financial.
what people do about their age. People round down, and I'm going, oh, I'd be 30. Yeah, what is wrong with me?
Wow. 30 spectacular. Enjoy it. But what I wanted to say was now it makes so much sense to me. It always has, but you have been my go-to when I have issues with my sons, who I fondly call Dick Lick and Cocksuck on the podcast. I don't use their names, so FYI. And I think you know who's who.
Oh yeah. How could you not know Dick Lick and Cocksuck?
I ever tell you what happened on the golf course with Dick Lick?
Is this the one with the basketball player? Is that who we're talking about?
No,
The
another person in finance
oh no.
requested him on the golf course to caddy, and
Oh, that's awesome.
he went to tee off, and he said, "So are you Dick Lick or Cocksuck?"
Oh yes, I remember this story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, I digress. But no, you've been the one that when I have an issue with them, and I could cry because you've helped me immeasurably, and inevitably when I have an issue, I there's a certain client that I go to, or you, and that's it, because your advice is so spot on, not only being similar in age, but just because, now I know because of your background. I mean, my kids had a very intriguing upbringing, let's just call it that. And it's one that I played a role in, as far as I the good exceeded the bad, but just what did go on has impacted the way we relate to one another. So you've just been a guide to me, and I appreciate it very, very much.
Well, Joanne, that really makes my morning. I can't say that enough. Thank you. That really means a lot.
I've been trying not to cry this whole time. Yeah,
It's a safe space. You can cry. We're okay.
I wore a button-down shirt for you, which was a mistake because I'm staring at my own cleavage for the next 3 hours. But just so you, I was going to say,
At least
picture
you're giving
that.
the audience what they want, right?
Hey, I put it on because I just wanted to feel like in business mode, but I'm already crying. So, and I was going to say picture the shirt. I didn't mean picture my tits, but you know what I mean. So all right. So then, I guess did you go to school for finance?
Yeah, so I went to school down in North Carolina. I originally started off as pre-med, believe it or not. And yeah, I mean, I liked medicine, I liked the biology aspect, but chemistry and we did not see eye to eye. We just hated each other from the day I met her. Um,
Her?
yeah, I like to refer to chemistry as that ex I never get over, just because I always talk about how that ruined my medical journey. Um, Similar to my love life with other exes, so hence why it's an ex and a her. But with that being said, so yeah, I wanted to be a pre-med, wanted to be a doctor, follow my mom's cancer bout. That was really the biggest inspiration behind it. But quickly, like I mentioned, chemistry and I learned we did not like each other. So I opted for finance and ended up doing double major with finance and what was it, not accounting, uh, supply chain, like economics, like microeconomics, stuff like that, supply chain, all that good stuff. But with that being said, yeah, I started in college studying finance, and originally when I graduated college, I did, to be honest, did not want to work at the company I'm working at now. I originally wanted to be a financial analyst and get my CFA, all that good jazz. And quickly fell in love with what I do now, realized it's a combination of both finance and my ability to form relationships, which also led us to becoming friends and working with one another. So it's a blessing in disguise. It's funny how things work out because at the time I was sitting there, I was so upset at myself. Graduating college, was going into more something sales oriented rather than financial oriented. So it's funny how that works out because in the end, now I'm sitting here. I've made a lot of friends, including yourself, and I get to partake on this podcast, which is awesome.
Well, I think I love finance, and I mean, men in finance, uh, because of the conversations I end up having, and I just can't imagine what I would do if I wasn't in finance. And I had always thought, I don't know if I told you this, I had my goal, and it really, really sounds like I'm smoking the green, but I had intended back when I was in my 20s and I graduated from college. Harvard required 5 years of work before getting into their master's program. So I thought I'd go work for 5 years and come back to the Northeast. And, well, no, I would have stayed in the Northeast. It's a longer story, but I had every intention of wanting to go to Harvard. I don't know if I have ever said that out loud.
No, that's news to me.
Yeah, so once I moved south, I had already decided corporations used to reimburse for college.
Tuition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that had gone by the wayside, and then I just went into the financial advisory track, and the rest is history. But I ended up going on and getting a master's, but not until I was I think 35, 36 by the time I got it. And then it was like, you know, it just wasn't a big deal because I worked for myself for so long.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say something else about that, but at this point it eludes me. So I'm going to move on. Back to you and back to your... I'm trying to think how I want to segue, and it's going to be a sloppy one. But you've educated me on being a Muslim. Yesterday, we spoke about what we were going to talk about today. Can you just cite some of the things you shared with me yesterday, the belief in Jesus Christ being the Son of God and the Quran being God's word, and just the similarities to I don't want to say just Christianity, but I mean that seems obvious.
The Abrahamic faiths as a whole.
The what faith?
The Abrahamic faiths, like the three main religions that followed Abraham: Judaism, Islam, Christianity.
There you go. See, now you got me by the short hairs because I'm just really I'm really ignorant. So just you lead, I'll listen.
Yeah, so I mean, to go back to what we were talking about yesterday, we were talking about the religion of Islam and how that really differs versus one, what we think of in America when we hear the word Muslim or Islam. It's not a random turban wearing guy strapped with a bomb. I can assure you that because I don't look like that. But with that being said, yeah, we talked about the differences, and the biggest difference I first and foremost I want to touch up on is the belief of Islam, what Islam means. So Islam is the submission to God. That's what Islam translates to. Muslim means one who submits to God. So that's all it is. It's just submitting to God and his faith and his word and his will. Um, but with that being said, and I realize I do say that a lot, so I do apologize. Though with Islam, going back to the first question you just brought up, the first topic we talked about yesterday, which is Jesus Christ. So big misconception we hear about Islam is that, oh, Muslims don't believe in Jesus. That is not true. We believe in Jesus Christ. We believe in Jesus Christ as a prophet. We believe in Jesus Christ as the Messiah. We believe he's going to come back. So that first and foremost is a big misconception we see about the Muslim faith. The other thing, though, is I always hear this from my friends. Well, if you guys believe in Jesus Christ, why don't you believe he's the Son? Well, because in our religion, we believe that God had no relationships. So no wife, no kids, no father, no son, nothing of that nature. Which, to be honest, as a kid, I didn't really understand just because I didn't understand the concept of the Trinity. But growing older, you begin to see what that means. So in regards to Jesus, I mean, with Jesus and Islam, we don't believe Jesus was the Son of God. Again, we believe he was a prophet. We believe that rather than in Christianity, where, and I know there's different sects of Christianity, so please feel free to correct me and don't hold me accountable for all sects based off this one conversation. But with that being
Brian,
said,
Brian just weighed in that there's 20. Oh,
oh,
I thought he
that's
was.
funny.
I thought he could.
That's funny.
It is. It is funny.
Oh,
No,
no,
we're at 25 minutes.
I was just giving you a time check.
I thought he was educating me on Christianity, and I was
I'm not
I
your
was
guy for
looking
that.
for the buoy. I was like,
Yeah, no.
all right. So we are at 25 minutes. So keep going, but
So I'm just gonna bring it to a quick close with that. So I mean, like going into again, we don't believe in that. We believe that Jesus was a prophet. He was born to a Virgin Mary. Mary is actually, believe it or not, revered as the most holy woman in the Quran. She's the only woman in the Quran that actually has a chapter named after her. So if that tells you anything about how we hold Jesus in our religion, there's that. But I mean, there's just a lot of misconceptions behind Islam versus Christianity. There's a lot of similarities. I mean, the biggest thing that really differs is the holy book. I know in Christianity, there's the Bible. In Islam, we believe in the Quran. With that said, we believe that following Jesus Christ's passing, between the Council of Nicaea, amongst other things, that the Bible was changed to some degree. So it's no longer God's intended word as it was originally provided to Jesus. So, which is why we believe the Quran was sent back down from God to the people of earth as a way to re-educate them on God's word. And that's why as Muslims we're encouraged to memorize the Quran, actually, because in the event that anything happens, the Quran's erased from the earth. We've memorized it. There's no changing God's word. If you have a couple billion people all saying, hey, this is how it should be recited, this is how it should be announced, this is the word, it's just a better way of holding each other accountable is how we view it in the religion versus relying solely on a book. Just because things, we've seen it, ignorance happens, things change. Ignorance is bliss, yes, but it's not always going to be consistent. So we never know how things have unraveled in history. We don't know if things have changed. So that's why we're encouraged to memorize the Quran versus just having a copy.
Interesting. All right. Well, we'll end this here. We'll take a small breather. And I want to tell you something I thought of also cute that Dick Lick said that I don't think I've ever told you, so I'll start with that.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you for listening and supporting Natural Born Redhead. If you follow the bouncing balls, please like and subscribe. If you know someone interested in sparing others grief and inciting joy, message me on Facebook or reach out via my website, Natural Born Redhead. J-Ma.